Hey, here we are, another Tuesday talk. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. I like to put a timestamp on these in case we're talking about time-sensitive information. But thank you for joining us for this Tuesday talk. For those of you who are joining us live, thank you. We do love audience participation. And you can do that by means of clicking the Q&A button that is either at the top or bottom of your Zoom screen. So if you click that button, you can type in a question, even a little box that says anonymous, just in case you don't want me to know your name. That's completely fine. It's up to you. But as Jeff and I, so if you looked at the title of this webinar, I'm supposed to be interviewing Margaret Haynes, but your eyes are not deceiving you. That is not Margaret. That is Jeff Vavricek. He is our CFO. So I'll have Jeff introduce himself here in just a moment. But we do love audience participation. So for those of you that are joining us live, do not hesitate to type in a question, and I will make sure that it gets asked over the course of the next 30 minutes. And Jeff, you don't need to watch the Q&A box. I will keep my eyes on that, and I will ask questions as they come up. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, perfect. If you would please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi, okay, be happy to do so. So my name is Jeff Vavricek. I'm the CFO with Right at Home. I've been with Right at Home now for 14 years, going on 15 here in a couple of months. Okay. And I've had the CFO position now for about 10 years.
Okay, and what did you do at Right at Home before you were in the CFO position?
Before I was CFO, I was VP of Programs and Services. So I did a role that was, and we still have the role, but it's kind of been broken into different pieces, but it's a role that works with vendors and builds out new programs and initiatives to help drive revenue and efficiencies for the franchisees.
Great. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind as ask you questions over the course of the next 30 minutes. Okay. All right, so let's start by just a general kind of a state of the union, if you will. As the CFO for Right at Home, can you give our listeners some type of just a general report on how the company is doing, kind of what anything that you can disclose to us as far as the forecast and how the outlook is looking, just a general, how are things going here at Right at Home?
Sure. So Right at Home has been franchising since the year 2000. And we have just really had a succession of a lot of good years. Every year is a little bit better than the year before. So that's continuing on, Jen. It's we're actually right now we're working on budgets for next year. They're due here in about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. But I can say that the company continues to grow. We continue to add new franchisees every year. So that's always key. That's certainly something that I look for as a measurement of our success. Are we adding new franchisees, planting new flags? Mm-hmm. And then with that is our revenue growing year over year. So in other words, are we serving more people? Are we increasing our clients? Mm-hmm. And that has definitely happened this year, and we project that to happen in the future as well.
Okay, so you mentioned different ways for growth. So adding new franchise owners, which is the world that I live in. Mm-hmm. Obviously increasing revenue. Mm-hmm. And I will add hours. So certainly, yeah. I would say the two key metrics, obviously for any franchise owner, we are helping and assisting our franchise owners to grow revenue, grow hours in their own respective business, and collectively the Right at Home system, what that outcome looks like. So how would you say, in addition to these KPIs, if you will, so, adding new franchise owners, watching revenue growth, hours growth, those are all relevant. What would you say would be the most important thing, a franchise owner who joins the Right at Home system? Because as you know, being a business owner, you wear a lot of different hats. So as the chief financial officer, from a financial perspective, what's a piece of advice that you could give to a new franchise owner who's just starting out, so that they can really have a laser focus on the things that are most important from a financial perspective? What's a piece of advice that you can give to a franchise owner to stay focused?
So a couple things, really. I think the main thing is, one of the things we talked about, some of the metrics, but it's at the end of the day, it's getting more clients. So getting more clients to serve, and really focusing on doing that. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And that's something that we walk through. Part of our training program is how do you get new clients? They don't just show up. So you need to be networking in the community. You need to be doing sales calls. But then also we have a piece of the business where we have partnerships with a lot of organizations, and some of those partnerships provide leads to our franchisees. And it's not necessarily a reason to join Right at Home. In other words, we believe the way to build the brand is to get out in your neighborhood and market and market yourself.
Yep.
But there are some other leads that come in through some of the partnerships that we provide. So I think, kind of to answer your question, I think we're really focused on, you should focus on getting those clients through the door. Once they get in the door, just kind of from a P&L perspective, because that's where I like to go, just from a financial perspective, you gotta watch your margins. You need to make sure that you're charging the right amount,
Great.
Versus what you're paying for the caregivers. And that's, I mean, in some ways it's easier said than done, but it's really not that complicated. I mean, and we walk you through that in terms of training, as well as after training. You get assigned a business coach, and this coach will help you figure out kind of what, to help you look at the P&L, right? Monthly basis, they'll sit down, look at the P&L with you, look at your margins, make suggestions like, hey, maybe your bill rate's too low, maybe it's too high, whatever the case might be. But that's kind of from a profitability standpoint, one of the things that I like to look at first is how are your margins? And then obviously controlling your expenses overall, making sure that your rent's in line, making sure that you're appropriately staffed from a payroll perspective.
Great.
And again, those are things that we work with you on a one-on-one basis with your coach.
Okay, and I can add to that. So when you start working with your either your Right Start onboarding manager or your more permanent coach, you are going to have something called a Right Focus dashboard. So it's a kind of a one-stop shop of a lot of the things that you mentioned, Jeff, are right there on this dashboard, kind of like the dashboard on a car that shows, key things about your car. It's the same with your business. And a lot of those things that you mentioned are all right there on one screen, one-stop shop to help and support our franchise owners with a lot of those things. And it's all right there in Right Focus. So just wanted to call that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually go just a little bit further than that, because
okay.
Thanks for bringing that up. It's a great tool, and it's available to every franchisee. And honestly, there's a lot of metrics in there. So again, your Right Start manager, they'll work with you on there, and some of the metrics on day one maybe won't make that much sense, because you depend on how you're entering the system. If you're entering as a brand new territory with no clients or whatever, you're gonna have a lot of numbers there. They're just small or zeros or whatever. But as you grow, we can put your personal goals in there, and we can track to what your goals are from a revenue standpoint. We have metrics in there that show kind of what's your ratio between caregivers and clients, and we have this little kind of red, yellow, green stoplight type of feature. So it's a really good tool. So I think it really helps, especially if you're not used to reading a P&L. It can kind of summarize it and make it pretty simple to evaluate.
Yep. Good call. Okay. A question came in while we were talking, and I'll read it to you word for word. Here's what it says. Okay. How long does it take a franchisee to get on their feet financially?
One of the top questions that we get, quite honestly. And here's what's hard about answering the question is it varies a lot. It really varies a lot based upon the person, right? It's some of them get off to a better start than others, and there's a million reasons for that. But you should be, and it depends on what are the words again? From the question, it was how they become well off. How
long does it take a franchisee to get on their feet financially?
Get on their feet, and that even varies from person to person what that means. But we have in our agreements, we have kind of dollar amounts where we think you should be from a revenue standpoint each year. So those are always a good kind of we call them minimum. So that's kind of a good yardstick is a, hey, this is where you should be as a minimum. But in terms of where you can be financially well off, it depends on your expenses and how fast you're growing.
Okay, and I will answer that question in a similar manner. And to reflect back on a past Tuesday talk, I believe this was with Margaret. And I have stolen this line from her since we did our Tuesday talk, where we were having a similar conversation talking about, about franchise owners and running their business. And, even franchising in general, obviously you're joining a franchise system because what comes along with that is, the help and the support and the guidance and the tools and, the procedures and all of that is available to you as a part of a franchise system. But at the end of the day, it's on you as the franchise owner to make a lot of things happen. We're here to help and support you. But when it comes down to it, and I just this morning, I invited someone to an upcoming Discovery Day, and she had a similar question. And I said, it really depends on you as the franchise owner. What are you going to do when you get in there to spread the word about Right at Home in your new territory? There are a lot of things that we're going to do to help and support you.
Yep.
But what we can't do is be boots on the ground and get out there and say, hey, my name is Jen. I'm the new franchise owner in the area, and I work for a company called Right at Home, and this is what we do. That's something that we really can't do, and it's on you as the franchise owner. So I'd answer this question very similar to that. And the answer is it depends. It varies so much that sometimes it takes some franchise owners a lesser amount of time than others. It really just depends on so many things. We don't have a specific time frame to answer that, unfortunately.
It really does. What's great is we've been around long enough to where we have data, and that data is displayed in our FDD. So that would give some numbers to provide to you what averages are and what people are doing from that perspective historically.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to circle back on some of the things that you said, which thank you for bringing these things up. It's important to understand your business from a financial perspective, which when you join the Right at Home system, the obvious thing that you're going to be doing is providing care to seniors and adults with disabilities. That's the general, that's our business model. But it's important to focus on and be mindful of a lot of the things that you mentioned that kind of go, I don't want to say unspoken, but certainly, and just as important as providing that best in class care, is it's important to watch those metrics of your business. So it's important to work with your coach, which this is an FAQ that we get often here on the franchise development team. How do I know what to charge for services? Like what's the going rate for that? And how do I know what to pay caregivers? And how will I know, what my margins are? And how will I know those things? So making sure that as a potential Right at Home franchise owner, once you join the Right at Home system, you will have help and guidance from your business performance coach on all of those things that I mentioned, as well as Jeff. So it's not, one of those things where it's like, well, just, because you can charge whatever you want. That's really up to you. We're certainly going to give you some guidance on where to start and some things to consider. And you need to consider things like the area where you are. You'll consult with neighboring franchise owners and, what they're charging and billing and all of those things. You've got a lot of people that are here to help and support you.
Yep.
Okay. So let's see here. Are there any other, in addition to the things that we've already mentioned, Jeff, what are some of the other things that it's important for a franchise owner to watch as part of their business when it comes to financial responsibility, or maybe assessing risk? Anything that you can, words, pieces of advice that you can offer to our listeners in the event that they become a Right at Home franchise owner, some things that they need to watch.
I guess from a financial perspective, it's all about the bottom line. And maybe this ties back a little bit to the listener's question. That's when do you break even? When do you start making a profit? And so it's all tied to the bottom line. And we, I love the business that Right at Home does. I love the service we provide. I think it's a great service for the community, but it is we want our franchisees to make money. And quite honestly, I think that's one of our differentiators is that we really do focus on the franchisee and their financial health. And we do that a number of different ways. Again, the Right Start, Jen, you mentioned the Right Start coach, the permanent coach. They're looking at your profitability. They're looking at your bottom line. But we also have these groups called performance groups. And these performance groups it's a group of 10 to 12 franchisees that meet on a regular basis, a couple times a year face-to-face, several times a year on a Zoom call like this. But they are, and we lead the sessions, but really it's the franchisees that really drive the content of these meetings. And there's plenty of chances. I mean, it's all about really showing your numbers to your peers, if you will, and working out problems. And the reason I'm going through all this is because bottom line is really one of the things they're focused on. I mean, which includes so many things. Which includes how do I increase my top line? I mean, how do I get more revenue? How do I save on expenses? What are ways to, maybe do staffing different to be able to reduce payroll? All those things are things that are talked about in these performance groups, and they're phenomenal. They've been something that we've done now for, I can say about 10 years, Jen. I don't know if you remember exactly when they started, but about 10 years ago, and they're not required that you join them, but they are very popular, and we love them. And our franchise and the feedback we get is always great on them. So we're always trying to do more.
I'm going to add to that, and I'm going to speak from experience. The very first performance group meeting that I attended, I was blown away. So to kind of for those that are listening, to kind of to pretend like you're about to join a performance group here and what to expect. I was blown away that, this is a group of franchise owners that, like, you've got homework before you come to this performance group meeting, and it's a list of things that you need to bring with you, or you need to submit in advance of this meeting. And then when you get together, I mean, it's a private small group, as you said, 8 to 10 franchise owners. So it's not like there's 50 people in this room, but it's show and tell. I mean, I'm about to show you, all you franchise owners in this room, and we're all here to help each other. Here's my latest P&L. Top line, bottom line. I need some recommendations on how to tweak this area right here that I'm struggling with. And, I want to improve my margin. And do you guys have some recommendations or things that, have you experienced this before? What have you done to improve this? It was awesome to hear the collaboration between all of the franchise owners on how they can improve their business. They were all there for the same thing, the same reason. And you're right, the corporate employee attendees that were there, we were really just bystanders watching these franchise owners collaborate with each other, and the end result being walking away with a lot of really great tips and tricks and guidance on how to improve and how to grow their business, including, hey, this is what we talked about last quarter. You said you were going to do X, Y, and Z, and you haven't done that. And why is that? So holding each other accountable, it was just really awesome to see.
Yeah, they're like your old mini board of directors meeting. They hold each other accountable. They have great ideas. They share best practices. It's really helpful. We have a large percentage of the system that has in a performance group, but it's not required. I believe you have to be open for a year before you actually can join one.
Yep, that's right.
It's an investment. It's not a big investment, but it's an investment.
Yep.
But it's something that I highly recommend. It's great.
Same. Okay. So another question came in. I'm going to read it to you. It says, if I have healthcare experience, but not financial experience, can I still be a franchisee? And will you assist me in learning about the financials?
Okay. So first of all, the answer is yes. I'll cut to the chase here. So we have a lot of franchisees. So very diverse background for our franchisees. And quite honestly, not a lot of them have healthcare. So first of all, this person that has healthcare experience, that's helpful. But you don't have to even have the healthcare experience. Most of them don't have financial experience. Some do if they come from the finance industry, but most don't have a finance background or finance experience. But the answer is yes, we'll teach you how to do those things. But um, and maybe this is my perspective, but it's not that complicated. I mean, I wouldn't be scared of it, that's for sure. Because we require you to use QuickBooks. We're going to walk you through how you use QuickBooks. We tell you what's called your chart of accounts, which basically just means here's your line item expenses that you put down. So I mean, we walk you through that. Your first billing and payroll, we're going to walk you through that. What does that mean? The first time that you do billings with your clients or that you pay your caregivers, we're going to sit down with you and help you through that process. Because we want you to see how to do it and how to do it right. And just because you do it the first time with us doesn't mean you're an expert at it. You're going to have challenges and you're going to call us up and ask us how to do pieces of it again. But after a few weeks or a few months or whatever it is, you'll be an expert at it. I'm confident of that. So, but there's so many pieces in the process that we are helping out do that. One is through the training process. One is through the Right Start process. I talked about these Jen and I both talked about these dashboards a little bit ago. That's all financial stuff. That's all the financial experience that those are developed to help those that have less financial experience to be able to, again, look at their business in a snapshot and look at the different metrics and see which ones are red, yellow, green, and focus on the ones that are hopefully not red, but red or yellow.
Yeah.
And focus on those. And if you see, oh my gosh, this is red, I don't know what to do, that's when you call up your coach and say, this one's red, it's never been red before. What does it mean? What can I do? You'll figure it out.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
And I want to talk about a hot topic that we're always talking about here on the leadership team, as you know, and potential franchise owners who are thinking about joining Right at Home. It's a common question that we receive, and I want to ask you as well. In the current environment with technology and innovation, especially artificial intelligence. In your opinion, what kind of an impact, whether it's a financial impact or otherwise, what kind of impact do you believe that artificial intelligence or technology, what kind of an impact is that going to have on home care? In-home care and assistance, senior care, right at home in general, as we look ahead to the future or current state of the business, how much is it changing our business, and will it have any significant impact on the future of our business?
So all great questions, and at the end of the day, there's who knows exactly how it's going to be impacted. But here's what we're doing to help figure out what's going to happen. First of all, we acknowledge that technology is a big piece of, in some way, shape, or form, it's going to be a big piece of providing care down the road.
Sure.
So we acknowledge that, and we also acknowledge that AI is going to play a big role into some combination of providing care, but probably at least as much efficiencies in the office and other things to help from an operational standpoint. So we're investing in those things two ways. One is from an innovation standpoint. We've got a team that we stood up in 2022. It's a team of 5 people, and they focus on innovation. And they're focusing on different types of innovation. So it's not all technology, but I'm telling you, Jen, it's hard to have innovation without technology today.
Yep.
So most of it is focused around technology. What are the things? How can technology help provide better care? That's one of the things we're focusing on. And the second thing we're focusing on is how can, with the use of technology, how can one caregiver care for more than one client at the same time? So, back up just a little bit. One of the challenges we have in our industry is enough people. Getting caregivers is a challenge in our industry.
Yeah.
if you become a right-at-home franchisee, you're going to spend a lot of your hours hiring and whether it's you or somebody in your office,
Yep.
hiring and training caregivers.
Mhm.
And that's okay, because that's who's providing the care. That's who's generating the revenue. The caregivers out with the clients.
Yep.
What we also know is looking down the road is just with the workforce, that workforce doesn't seem to be growing. So how can we do something to where maybe I can on my and I'm just throwing this out there, but on my computer I can have some sort of monitors or cameras or something and in more than one client's home.
Yeah.
And be able to whatever it is, talk with them, watch them, whatever, and then have a caregiver that's on the ground that's able to go help them out if something needs to be
Yeah.
hands-on.
Mhm.
So that's something we're doing. Then AI, we've developed a list of use cases. How can we use AI to increase hours? How can we use AI to examine the plan of care, which we have a plan of care for every client? How can we use it to examine that plan of care and say, okay, you've been in the home for, I'm going to just, 20 hours a week for the last 6 months, but their condition have changed based upon what you put in the plan of care. Their condition has changed.
Yep.
You should recommend doing this to the client. So basically a way to some data to go to the family of the client and say, things have changed and now we think we need to be there 24 hours a week instead of 20 hours a week.
Mhm. Yep. And I will add to that, those examples that you just gave are just two examples of many things
Yep.
that we are doing, trying, testing, piloting, and before we implement anything into the right at home system, it is several months, if not more, of testing and trying. And we've got successes, we've got not things that don't succeed. And so
Yeah.
I say all that to say, and Jeff mentioned this, the innovation team is a team that's all they do is they're innovating and they're trying to think of new and different ways to add to the right at home business model. Which of course, the ultimate goal is to increase hours, increase revenue, grow the business, support our franchise owners to build, profitable, sustainable businesses. And those things that you just mentioned are just two of many that the team is working on.
For sure.
Okay, so we've just got a few minutes left. Is there any final parting thoughts that you'd like to provide to our listeners who are all of the attendees that are joining us live right now or watching this on a recorded basis are thinking about joining the right at home system? So any final piece of advice that you can provide?
So one of the things that when we talk to new franchisees, I'm always encourage them to talk to other franchisees, right? Don't join any concept, but we'll talk about right at home now. Don't join right at home without talking to franchisees because they're going to tell you how it is. They're gonna and I'd ask the tough questions. I would ask, is this business easy or is it hard? They're gonna tell you it's hard, but that's okay. Hear it from them because it is a hard business to be in.
Yeah.
But I think they'll also tell you that it's incredibly rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them will say it's incredibly rewarding, both kind of personally. It's again, it's hard work, but it's a lot of fun, and you get to deal with a lot of people every day, and there's a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities to really grow a good, successful business. And we have a lot of businesses that they're on their second generation already. They've brought their family in the business. They brought their kids in the business. Kids are running it now. I mean, I think that's a great testament to what a great business this is. But it's a lot of work. So talk to other franchisees. Make sure that you understand kind of what you're getting into. But I think it's a fabulous business.
Yes. Okay. I happen to agree. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for taking the time to do this. I appreciate you, and I know our listeners do as well. So thank you.
Awesome. Very welcome.
Okay. Have a great day. Goodbye.